Kia ora and welcome to What's in Your Kete. I'm your host Jane. The Te Ahurei Tāmaki Auckland Arts Festival is happening here in Auckland at the moment, and this year sees the introduction of the first Indigenous music series. Today we are honoured to speak with Lehua Kalima and Pono Fernandez, two members of Kulāiwi, a collective of award-winning Hawaiian singers, songwriters and cultural leaders. Stay with us till the end as we're also joined by the amazing award-winning singer and powerful performer Kaumakaiwa. Join us for a unique kōrero about music, culture and connection. Let's get into it.
Aloha, my name is Lehua Kalima Alvarez. I'm actually born and raised in Hilo, Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii. But I'm currently living in the state of Nevada in Las Vegas. So I'm here on the continent and looking forward to being there in Aotearoa with you in a few days' time.
Aloha no kako o wau Pono Fernandez. My name is Pono Fernandez, and I'm calling in from the Malu of Lanihuli, my mountain here, just Mocha, Lanihuli, with our freshwater puehuehu that runs by our house. Born and raised on the island of Oahu in Kahalu'u, the windward side of Oahu, and now residing in beautiful Nu'uanu. And so excited to be on this podcast, but also to be heading to Aotearoa very shortly.
So Lehua, I understand that you came up with the name for the band of the group. Can you describe what the name means and the process that you went through to decide on?
Well, the process was very short. I'm not even sure that it came from me. I think it just came through me. We were talking about having a name, and for those of you who aren't familiar, the three of us singers and players, it's myself, it's Sean Pimentel, and Kavika Kahiapo. We all have actually played together in different configurations with different groups. Kavika and Sean both at different times in our history have played with my group Naleo Pilimehana. And so we've been friends for a long time. And when we decided, hey, let's just play together, it was magical and so fun. And so we said, well, we can't just be, Kaviko and Sean and Lihua, let's come up with a name. And so we said, okay, well, let's all go to our corners and think about it. And like in 10 seconds, well, what about Kulāiwi? And the other two boys were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good name." And so I wanted to. It popped into my mind, but I wasn't even quite sure what it meant. To be honest, I had an idea, but um, when I looked it up, I looked up various sources for it, and Kulaivi literally means the place where my ancestors' bones are buried, and so it's an area of land that is like above Mauka. I mean, we have our. I'm sure you all have your designations as far as Makai by the ocean, and then the Midland area, and then the Mauka. And so and it is a designation. Kulaivi is a sort of an area, but it also means this area where people would literally, bury their ancestors. And so I thought of the deeper meaning of that, in that we as the caretakers of our kupuna, of our ancestors, as the ones who are a link in this chain, we also carry them within us, and so we are also a place where our ancestors' bones are buried. And our music, we really set a goal to have our music be have that be the most paramount thing in our music and the songs, and what we wanted to share as our message as a group was that we are Hawaiian. We are from Hawaii, and we have this kuleana, this responsibility to share the stories of our people, share the stories of our land, share our language, so that it will continue on for many generations. And so um, when we got into the kind of a deeper layer of meaning of the name itself, it was perfect. And so yeah, not knowing what it meant and then finding out what it meant, it just made it that much stronger and that much more enjoyable to have as a name.
We are super excited about you for your upcoming shows here in Aotearoa as part of the Indigenous Music on the Move series at the 2025 Auckland Arts Festival. And so I do know that you, as a trio and also quadruple with Pono, um, I've been joined also with Kaumakaiwa and then also with Maya Piata on the tail end of this series. But what does it mean to you all to have this opportunity to be performing alongside other Indigenous um, performers and here in Aotearoa as well?
Yeah, I think really connecting with what Lehua mentioned earlier about the name of our group. You know, the music that we want to make, the stories that we want to tell, we want them to be recognized by our kupuna. If our kupuna were listening, we would want them to be able to say, this is a new song, but it feels familiar. And I think that's why we're so excited to go to Aotearoa, because um, we see Maori people um, as our big brothers and sisters in a way, because of the work that you've done to take care of your kupuna, to take care of your knowledge, to take care of your stories and your language. You know, our punana leo system, our language nest system is modeled after the kohangareo. And I wouldn't be the person that I am today if it were not for Hawaiian language. And so then, you know, by extension, that mahalo that we all have to you and your people is huge. And so to be able to share in our culture and our values in this way, you know, we've been doing that sharing across the ocean for many, many years, at least on a personal level. You know, we celebrate the work that's happening in Aotearoa, but then to be able to do that in person on your aina, with your kupuna watching, is just absolutely like I'm getting chicken skin, you know, because it really is that collaboration of minds and wisdom that allows us to do what we do. And you know, to walk alongside you in the physical realm is just going to be so incredibly exciting. And I keep using the word exciting because that's really how I feel it. I've been to Aotearoa once, and it was amazing. It was incredible with Shauna and Kaumakaiwa actually. And to be able to share our music in that way is just going to be otherworldly almost. I have been dancing. People will ask me how long I've been dancing hula, and I always say that I was probably dancing hula before I could walk. My mother and my grandmother were also hula dancers, and I learned recently that I am a fifth generation hula dancer. So hula is in my blood for many, many, many generations, and for me it's an opportunity to, because I'm not a singer, it's an opportunity for me to engage in the story of music and the story of our people in a different way. And so, again, you know, to be able to dance to the music that Kulāiwi performs is just an extension of those stories. So I've been studying hula for my whole life. I'm a student under Kumuhula Manu Boyd. We have competed in Mary Monarch, which is our giant, you know, hula competition for many years. But you know, besides all of that, it hula is the way for me to connect with my ancestors, with our ancestors, and and with our elements, you know. And I believe that that's the most important way for us to stay grounded, especially in these times when, you know, colonial mindsets and Western ways of living are so prevalent everywhere. Hula music and chant, that's the outlet that we have to reconnect, to remind us who we are, to remind us where we come from, and to stick to our values as a people, so that we can pass that information on to the next generations.
Can I also ask you, for those unfamiliar with hula beyond its surface beauty, like what do you wish more people understood about its depth and its meaning?
No, absolutely. And I think that's exactly what it is. You know, hula was taken by our Western counterparts and really commercialized back in the day. And that is a part of our genealogy. You see the Hollywood version of hula, with the grass skirts and the coconut bras, and that absolutely existed. We acknowledge that is a part of our history. But so coming from that time, it was then always said that, well, hula tells a story. And what I would want people to know is that the story exists without the hula, to be completely honest. I cannot dance to any music that has no words or has no story behind it. You might see people in Hawaii dancing to an instrumental track and no words, no lyrics, but then I wouldn't necessarily consider that to be hula, because the story behind the song is what drives how I dance. The way that I choreograph to the story, to the words in the music. And so I think it's important for people to know that it is the story that drives the dance. It's not just a physical motion. It is an embodiment of that story. And my hope as a dancer is to help people bridge the gap between what they see and then what they understand the story to mean. Especially in Aotearoa, people might not know, even here in Hawaii, people might not know the meaning of the words that we're singing and dancing to. And so my motions are meant to enhance that and hopefully help people connect. And then through the mission of Kulāiwi then is to, the hula is meant to be a way for people to experience the story itself.
Lehua, back to you. Kulāiwi is made up of the 3 award-winning Kanaka Māori musicians, Kavika Kahiapo, yourself, and Sean Kekua Pimentel, and also Pono as well. Can you share the dynamics between your group and how each person contributes to the music?
Wow. Yes. It's funny because we all, I think, come from different backgrounds, not dissimilar, but not all the same, obviously. So Kavika is our eldest. He's a few years older than I am. And he was actually playing music with some of the hard hitters back in the day, like Gabby Pahinui and Palani Vaughn and, Eddie Kamai. And so he came from that era of the people who were really helping move forward with the Hawaiian Renaissance movement back in the 70s. And so his music is very, very grounded in that tradition, of music being a conduit for change, and understanding the power behind that, and understanding what it was that they were trying to accomplish. It wasn't just music to, you know, drink beer and enjoy and lie down on a beach. It was music that had a message. And so having his foundation, and of course his voice is very deep and powerful, and we say he's the voice of a keakua, like it sounds like God talking sometimes. So we have his, his very deep foundation in that. Sean, he's the youngest, and so he actually comes more from I wouldn't say from a player's perspective, but he's always played like a gazillion instruments. He knows how to play anything and everything, and has an engineering background, so he knows also the technical side of music and recording, producing. He was a producer for Napalapalai for many, many years, and so he understands the dynamics of working with groups, of what elements within a song can also move the music forward, the kind of technical aspects of things, on top of also being, a very, very good musician, and knowing how to deal with all kinds of types of music. And so for myself, I come from a family that my dad and his brothers and sisters had played music when I was a child, and so I grew up listening to them. And that's mostly like we came from Haile Church, so we had this church background. We had bel canto type singing that my father and my uncles and auntie did. Music of the 50s and 60s. And so I remember hearing that in my head and not really appreciating it until I got into Kamehameha schools. I went into intermediate and high school and started singing with the choir. And, we created our group Naleo Pilimehana. And so I always had a deeper appreciation for, I guess, a large type gamut of music from, contemporary stuff to Hawaiian stuff. And so when the three of us came together, we kind of brought our different uh, favorites. We brought the things that we were good at, and we enhanced the things that we weren't because of the other additions, from the group. And I really think that the way that we work together in doing our harmonies, we never like say, okay, you're going to sing this part, you're going to sing this part. We just sing and we find our place. And there is a space. We make space for each other, which I think is beyond music is something that's very important to have in your life. But we make space for each other, and we compromise on a lot of things without even really having to try. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that we understand where each other's coming from, we appreciate what each other brings, and we let each other do their thing, within the group. And it's beautiful and it's effortless.
Well, thank you so much, because that actually just answered my next question, which I will skip now. Because my next question was going to be talking about creating music together and what does that process look like, but you just explained all that.
Good.
And that was really awesome to hear, because I have seen that individually that you all have amazing strengths and have done this here, there, and there.
I know my
Um,
hands are talking, sorry.
and notably, can I ask about Sean? I'm sure I read somewhere that is he going on tour with Stan Walker and the Stan Walker tour
Yes,
coming up?
yes.
I am so excited.
Oh,
Um,
I forgot to mention, of course, that Sean is now part of a group called Seven Sons. And yes, your very own Stan Walker, who we absolutely, we love.
uh,
Phil is like just, it's like amazing that there's this connection now, between us and you folks even more so. But I think Pono probably can speak more to that because, she's got the inside scoops on that.
yeah, feel free to explain the relationship you and Sean have, and then how you know the knowledge of the things. So
Yep, no, Sean is my other half. And so, I'm lucky to have been able to land here in this, soft and safe space of, our beautiful relationship, but then that relationship that has empowered other relationships like these. I never thought that I would be able to have these kinds of experiences that I do now. And one of those experiences, Kulāiwi, absolutely. I mean, gosh, the things that we've been able to do over the years has just been amazing. But now with his Seven Sons venture, it's, yes, they get to open for Stan Walker in San Diego in America, and we are just so excited. One of Seven Sons band members is from Aotearoa, Phil
yes,
Crown,
and I do know.
and
Well, I know of Phil Crown.
he's amazing. And so we're so lucky to get to share culture and talk stories with him. But yeah, to have made that connection over to have that opportunity to open for him, and hopefully really be able to create more relationships, deeper relationships. Because when Seven Sons started, that was one of the things. It was like, where do we want to go in the world? That's what they said. Like, what kind of music do we want to make, and where do we want to go? And Aotearoa was the first was the first was the first place that we mentioned. And yeah, to speak a little bit about Sean, Kulāiwi actually is his first venture as an artist. Out in the front, with his face on the album cover. He's the guy that he plays with everyone. He's the first call for a lot of artists here in Hawaii, and both for engineering and producing, but then also to play on the track. And so for him to step out kind of into that front line and say, I'm also an artist, and to have his voice being recorded as the lead, in songs, or to solo in music is just so exciting. And Seven Sons is also a kind of an offshoot of that for him to continue his artist journey. But yeah, I know that for him, Kulāiwi was a dream come true. You know, he's in the space in his life where he's like, who do I want to play music with? Who do I want to travel with? And that's, you know, Lehua is one of our closest friends. And we're like, wherever we go, we're going together. and then to add Kavika into that is just, you know, the relationship, the personal relationship that we all have, I think comes through the music. You can hear it in the way that they perform, and that's not, it's not something that's rehearsed per se. You know, when you hear that on the record, that's the way it sounds, you know, when they just get together and sing a song for the first time. It's like, whoa, that was kind of magical. How did you do that? And they're all like, I don't know. I don't know. It just kind of came out. And so it really is that effortless feeling to be together. And to travel together, to work together, to make music together. And that, back to Stan Walker, we're so excited to work with him, you know, and hopefully big things in the future.
Well, congratulations to Sean. And I did want to mention that obviously for the relationship with Stan, who we all love and adore here. But back to you all. I also wanted to follow up the questions here actually. What is one song, Lehua, in your set list that people absolutely have to hear live?
I think one of my favorites is Elili'ue, which is a song that Sean wrote, Sean and Pono wrote for our queen, Lili'ua Kalani. And it's a letter to her, really. It's a love song, but it's a letter to her to share our support and our aloha to our queen, and for all that she had to endure, and to let her know that even today, you know, our people are still behind her, and we are just want to share our aloha to her for all that she did for us. But it's a beautiful song and very deep, very meaningful, and just a very beautiful song to hear. And when Pono dances, it's even more beautiful.
All right, so I'm just looking up here for the schedule for your timing when you're down here. So your first show will be at the Artworks Theatre in Waiheke Island on Wednesday, the 19th of March. The following night, you're at Te Oro Music and Arts Centre in Glen Innes, Tāmaki Makaurau. That's Thursday the 20th. The following night after that, you're at Māngere Arts Centre, Ngā Tohu o Uenuku, on Friday the March the 21st. And then on the 22nd, you're at the Spiegel Tent, Aotearoa, Te Papatū Wātea. So I just wanted to share the nights of the shows. And also, sorry, thank you so much, no mai haramai. Te Kaumakaiwa, welcome. Kaumakaiwa, I see you collaborated with one of my favourite local artists, Moana Maniapoto. Can you please share how that came about?
Well, I've been many times, so it's a great homecoming. No stranger to Aotearoa, and I was living there for a few months while we were filming Chiefs of War with Jason Momoa and company. So it's always wonderful to be able to come back and reconnect with Aotearoa and our tangata Māori. And I met Moana in 2004. It's 20 years ago. I was Halau Kekuhi, our family kapahaka, went touring around Greece. It was the year that Greece had hosted the 2004 Olympics, and so the Ministry of Greece paid for a tour for about 40 different indigenous peoples groups and performing artists to travel around the country and tour Greece for about 3 or 4 weeks, and Moana was a part of that. They helped to represent Aotearoa, and then eventually it's raining here. Sorry, it's gonna get loud. And so we stayed in touch, and then she reached out and said that she wanted to collaborate on this on that song, and the rest is sort of history. So yeah, we've known each other for a long while now.
Well, I'm very excited to get to meet you when you do arrive here in Aotearoa, and I'm glad welcome back. I was not lucky enough to meet you in former visits, but I'm so excited, sincerely and truly, to have you here. I was explaining to Lehua and Pono before the research I've done on you all, and as Indigenous musicians and practitioners of your culture, the similarities between our peoples, of course, have just we merged together, and the excitement that I have to see this physically happen as tangata whenua here. It's our honour. So for yourself, your question, I've got a few questions for you, Kaumakaiwa. So I've read that you hail from a deeply respected ohana in Hawaii. And,
allegedly.
And I wanted to know, how does that legacy shape your artistry and the way you approach music today?
It has and it hasn't. On the one hand, I think that each generation has the ability and the self-sovereignty to decide what we do with our path and our cultural journey and our contributions to our community and to our Native Hawaiian heritage. But it's informed everything, because there's sort of a gold standard when it comes to all things Hawaii, from permeating all arenas, from politics to education to academia to industry, technology, science, and of course cultural performing arts. So it's on the one hand, it's informed entirely who I am, and on the other hand, it's I also know that it's for me to do with what I see as valuable and substantial in my generation for my time here, and what my contributions are to be.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if that answered that.
No, it did beautifully. I also have seen that your music has been honoured multiple times. For someone who has never seen you perform, what can they expect?
For those whom are familiar with my work, nah. You know what? I don't expect anything. Come with no expectations.
Absolutely.
Surprise yourself and just come and be receptive to another perspective of Ike Hawaii, or Hawaiian wisdom and cultural exchange. That's it.
Now, coming to Aotearoa, and I know this is a returning visit for you. Do you have any desires to sort of collaborate with any creatives here, or is there anyone that you're interested in? I don't know, on some projects, or this is the question for all of y'all, actually.
Maisie, we became good friends with Cilla and Ruha, a few years ago, and then I've known Maisie, Rika, and Ria Hall for some years now, almost as long as I've because between the Kura Kaupapa Māori and the Kohangareo experience, which I was a part of, and the Kapahaka community, and the Kapahaka lifestyle, it sort of I've always wanted to work with the two of them, with Maisie and Ria, and so hopefully we're going to have we can set something up for next year.
Oh, we've just manifested that now. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Lehua, to you, has there been a consideration from yourself or the band? Are there any sort of desired collaborations or hopes of connecting with our creatives here?
Any and all. That would be amazing. We would love to collaborate with any Māori organizations or people or soloists or anything. I mean, I think that would be amazing. So bring it.
That's wonderful.
Come on out, people.
And Pono, for you, would you like to do any workshops or things here as well for your hula and your practice? Is there something you're wanting to do down here by chance?
Oh my gosh, anything and everything. It's funny when Lehua gave her response, I was like, oh, that's what I was gonna say. No, I have a love for all art practices, and so when we are in places, especially places that we hold so dear to our hearts. I would love to see people weaving and carving and, I'm a weaver myself. And so just to witness the work that you do down there, of course, the dance, hearing all of the music, I know I have to work on this trip, but also I'm just going to be soaking it all in. I have so much love for the art that is present in Aotearoa.
Last question for you all. What is one message you would like to leave for an Indigenous artist and audiences worldwide?
Okay, I'll go first. I think I hope that by our being there in Aotearoa and our sharing our music and our stories and our aloha, that people get a better insight into Hawaii, into our Hawaiian culture, into our language, and will, if they are interested, if it's something strikes their heart or their mind, that they will look further into it. If the song resonates with them, then they can definitely look up on our website. We have the lyrics, we have translations, we have mana'o behind these songs. Find out what it is that connects you, and go with it. Grow with it. Like, I think that's what we need to do in general as Native peoples around the world. We need to all find out what it is that connects us and strengthen our bond. So hopefully we can do that through this visit and in future visits too.
I'll go next because I'm sure Kaumakaiwa will have an Ike bomb to wrap this all up with. She inspires me so much on a regular basis. Love you, sis. I think something Sean and I say regularly is that we are a present day people. So across the world, to all the Indigenous, artists, but also to folks that are finding their way in their indigeneity and their identity, that we are not a was or were, we are, and we continue to be. And art is the thread that binds us all together, especially music. And so I just hope everyone remembers that that we need to continue on so that our knowledge can continue on as well.
That's a perfect segue to the mahalo. Ooh, good setup. We love a good setup. To Pono's point, one, I'd like for the Aotearoa audience to gain from our performance and participating in our performance and attending our performance, to see the relevance of the Kanaka Maoli, or the Native Hawaiian, and our current issues, our current contributions, and the relevance of the indigenous in the 21st century. It's in the nature and the practice that we often refer to our ancestral past. However, at this point, all we have, the only responsibility that we have is to make hay while the sun shines during our time here and our contributions therein. And so, because of that, I hope that people begin to appreciate the conversations that are happening, socio-political, cultural, and scholastic conversations and issues that Native Hawaiians are facing now, currently. So that we don't refer to ourselves as a footnote of our own timeline and our own history. And two, what I've always asked this, and I've said this when Sean and I have toured around the world. Art is imperative to the human condition because it is the only natural resource I think and I believe that humans are capable of producing without consuming anything else, without consuming or exploiting any other resource. It comes the waiata, the leo, the song emanates from a singular source, without first having to consume anything from the land, without having to pick vegetation or cut a tree down to carve, or to make a waka, or to create a tiki, or to create a ki'i, carving. All we need is this. So, in the spirit of indigenous people leading the world into a new era of indigeneity and connection to environment and aina and land. I hope that we stop referring to it as performance art as art or entertainment, and start referring to it and using it as the natural resource that I think it is, and it's as substantial a natural resource. So it's part of the innate nature, and again the imperative of the human condition to want to move, and to want to move with one's environment. And so and the separation of those genres, I think I'd love to see music festivals that include science, indigenous science, and academia, and technology, not just art, a festival for arts and music and dance specifically, or visual art, not just a conference on education or just so compartmentalized. I think that we're missing our own wisdom there as indigenous people. We're indigenous people, if anything, are born as ecologists, and the ecology and the connectivity of all things to our life ways. So I hope that we ourselves as indigenous people across not just Hawaii but across the board start to treat our intelligentsia and our knowledge in that way. I'd like to see a little bit more intersection in our own practices.
Mahalo nui loa Kaumakaiwa for closing us out with your thoughts. Well, that brings us to the end of our kōrero. Don't miss out on this awesome opportunity to see and hear this award-winning collective of Hawaiian artists, cultural leaders at Te Ahurei Toi o Tāmaki Auckland Arts Festival. Ngā mihi nunui Lehua, Pono and Kaumakaiwa, thank you for sharing your time, space and aloha with me today. Join us again soon for another episode for What's in Your Kete. Mā te wā!